Hello and welcome to episode 126 of Daryl Show Your Work. All right, so in this episode, continuing on with the overall theme of NetCat, as promised, I'll be now going over gaining remote access to a target system using a reverse shell instead of a bind shell. All right. So I'm going to give my usual disclaimer here by saying that this is for ethical research and educational purposes only. Any sort of malicious actions that may directly or indirectly come from someone watching my video, I don't take responsibility for, nor do I condone. All right, so to give a high-level definition of what reverse shells are combined, excuse me, in comparison to bind shells, it's really simple. So basically, it's the same thing. It's a type of remote shell where now the target connects directly to the listener on the attacker's system, allowing for the execution of commands on the target system. All right. So now instead of now instead of the listener being on the target's machine and we having to connect that way, now the listener is on my machine as the attacker, and now that connection is outgoing from the target and not ingoing. All right, so there's several benefits to this. All right, so for one, it's better than the bind shell because it does not require that the listener is set up on a target system, and also the outgoing traffic is typically not blocked by firewalls, which increases the chances of successfully connecting with the target host without being immediately discovered. All right, so some of the drawbacks though is that the attacker's IP address is needed to make a connection, and and can or will be revealed to the target system once connected, and we'll see what that looks like here. So there's some drawbacks to that, but typically it's better to use a reverse shell. That's why a lot of times when I've done some of those exploitation modules, a lot of them are reverse shell based because again it makes things more stealthy since it really depends on the outgoing traffic of our target host and not necessarily the incoming us going inward towards the target, which would of course set off any sort of filtering mechanism like a firewall, IDS, IPS, etc., etc. Okay, so to jump into this, I've already done quite a few things here before starting the video. So I've already transferred that NetCat listener executable file to the Windows-based target. Okay, and I've already done some discovery here. So I've already got the target IP address here, which is 10.3.19 .85, and I also got my IP address here, which is 10.10.43. Okay, so continuing on with this, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set up a listener on my end. Because remember, we want the attacker to connect to my machine. So I'm going to set up the listener here. So I'm going to say nc dash nv no DNS resolution v verbose output or feedback, L for listening mode, and P for port. And I'm gonna specify the port that I'm gonna be listening on is 1234. All right, so let's get that started up. All right, so jumping over to the target machine, then here is where, and let me fix some of the font here. So is it clear? Is it visible as far as what I'm doing? Give it a nice big 24 font. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's where then I attempt to make the connection here with our with our uh, with our Linux system. All right, so I'm gonna say nv, and then that was 1010. Let's go back. Oh, right here, 1010.40.3, and then connected 1, 2, 3, 4. And oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me see. Making sure everything's all right here. Okay, I'm good to go. And then we want to do a CMD to open up a command shell automatically. So again, similar to the bind shell. So we basically were saying here that hey, once a connection is made with this Linux host, we want to automatically open up a command shell on that system every time whenever we make this connection here with the whoever's located at 10.10.43. All right, so hit an enter. All right, so let's jump back to the attacker machine, and bam, I have my session here. All right, we could test that out. All right, and I'm gonna say, who am I? Let's and then all right, we can see I'm administrator again. If we want to look in the directory of that target host, we could look there. And we could see that nc.exe file that I transferred before recording. All right, so let's say we wanted to see what it looks like to do a reverse shell Linux. I could do my best to show what that looks like here. Because we just did Windows to Linux. So let's say what if we want to do a reverse shell to a Linux system, I could try to do a reverse shell to myself here. So I'm gonna do Control C to exit out of that. All right, so I'm gonna set up the listener again. All right, set up all the options here and then specify the port, which is 1234. All right, so I'm gonna have to open up another terminal here. All right, so in this terminal, I'm gonna say nc -nv, and then let's paste my IP address here. All right, and then of course we want to do 1234, and then let's give it a bash, even though it's probably already has bash by default, but I'm just going to say that here. All right, so let's go back to that first terminal here. All right, so it looks like I'm connected to myself here, and I'm gonna do a just ls dash all again, so we can see that indeed works. All right, so just want to do a quick video to show the difference between using a bind shell and a reverse shell, and to talk about some of the differences between the two and the pros and the cons of using a reverse shell, and why typically attackers or ethical hackers tend to prefer using a reverse shell, again because it more relies more on that outgoing connection than an incoming connection, which could be more easily blocked or discovered by your target system's defenses, which you don't want, because then it's going to really stop you dead in your tracks fairly early in the kill chain or MITRE ATT&CK framework. So yeah, so please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. And until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.